Hi, this is Bob from Hobby Concepts, and today I'm going to take HG Model's P407 crawler truck and do some simple modifications that make it a lot better. Front mounted steering, I'm going to show you how to do that very inexpensively. I'm going to soften up the suspension, put a 45 turn motor in it to make it more powerful, new tires that are softer and work a lot better, new suspension links that make it stronger, and finally I'm going to add lights and paint it so it looks a lot better, paint it and detail it. It's a beautiful truck. A few simple mods really make it special. So let's get started. So the P407 truck basically comes like this. Now I'm going to do several things to make it better, and I'm going to try to keep the price as cheap as possible. I've always loved bruisers, and this is just a great way to get into it for a good price, but there are quite a few things. First thing, it needs paint. This chrome, I don't know whose idea that was, but boy, it just makes it look like a toy. My chrome is bubbling in a couple places. I don't like the chrome here. Obviously needs paint. The orange interior, I mean, seriously, orange. Anyway, number one thing, make it look better. Number two thing, steering. The steering, I'm not even turning the servo. Has that much slop before anything even happens. There we go. Just really sloppy steering. We can fix that. Now, flexibility. I've got some 1/4 inch blocks of balsa wood here, and I have discovered that 1 3/4 inches lifts the back tire off the ground. So it really only has about 1.5 inches of flexibility. I think we can do a lot better than that. Lastly, I'm not too sure about the arms back here and some of the rear end suspension parts. The tires don't line up with the wheel wells. It would be nice to lengthen the travel a little bit, so we'll see what we can do about that. So steering, suspension, travel, and appearance. We want to make this thing look nice. The reason the steering is so sloppy is the servo is mounted back here, runs up through a 90-degree bell crank. You really can't see up in here. There's a lot of joints. Even the servo saver back here is a little sloppy. So what we're going to do is take the servo out of here, we're going to mount it up in front and directly hook it to the steering, and we can do that with a simple bracket made out of a piece of aluminum angle. I have removed the skid plate and the bumper so we can see in there better. Here's the linkage to the steering. So what I'm going to do is mount my servo up here, right in this area, and I'll have to shorten the linkage and run it right to the servo, and I'm going to get rid of the servo saver too, so get rid of all the slop. In order to mount this in here at a 90-degree angle, I'm going to take a piece of aluminum angle. This is a 1x1 piece of aluminum angle I got at Home Depot. I'll cut a piece to fit in here, and I will notch it so the servo will slide down in it. I'm going to go ahead and cut that. It's going to be a little hacksaw work, pretty boring. I'm not going to show it, but I'll get the piece cut out and we'll see how it looks. Here's my little bracket. That was a piece of 1-inch aluminum angle. It's 2 5/16 inches long. I had to cut a little notch in there with a file just so it would fit over the screw heads. And my servo is going to mount like that. And this is going to just drop in here and bolt to that front plate. So all I have to do now is drill a couple mounting holes here, a couple mounting holes for the servo, and it'll be done. And remember, I'm trying to keep this inexpensive, so this piece of aluminum angle I had laying around the house, I think I might have $1 or $2 in that bracket, but pretty inexpensive. Servo is probably 25 bucks. I found a high-tech servo in my miscellaneous servo bag that's 145 ounces of torque and has a metal arm. so I'm going to use the metal arm instead of a servo saver. If you wanted to reuse the servo from the truck, it would work just fine, but you would need a servo saver on it because it's plastic gears, and that would be even less expensive. But this will give me just fantastic steering. Here's my little bracket all finished. Drilled holes in it, sanded it with some 220 sandpaper. I'm going to go ahead and paint this with some Tamiya primer and some semi-gloss black, just because I like to keep things neat and clean. I'm all about the appearance. So I'm going to paint that and then we'll install it. Alright, I'm going to take the body apart, and that is actually quite simple on this. Everything is held together with screws, every single bit. So I am going to take everything completely apart. Now, one of the things I'm going to do, I want these to be black. I want this to be some kind of body color. And so I need to remove the chrome to get them ready to paint. Paint does not stick over chrome. I don't like how they didn't remove these little tabs. So I'm going to sand those off, clean these parts up before I paint them. I think I'm going to leave the bumper chrome. I'm not absolutely sure yet. But the side pieces in this I'm going to de-chrome. So I'm going to show you how I do that. Got these chrome pieces that I don't want to be chrome, and I decided I'm going to take the chrome off the bumper, at the cab, license plates, pretty much all the chrome that was on the vehicle except for the headlight buckets. So here's my magic formula. It's called Super Clean. This comes from Walmart. And then I've got a 99-cent store bread pan. I'm going to pour some of this Super Clean in this bread pan. And drop the chrome pieces in. And this stuff will eat the chrome off of these. Okay, so that we'll submerge those. I'll put the little shorty cab in later. So I'm going to time this for a while and we'll see what happens. So it's been 5 minutes. Take a look at these. Okay, well, obviously the plastic is the same color as the interior. You can see the chrome coming off. That's only after 5 minutes. I found that chrome from Tamiya kits takes a long time to take off. The chrome is really high quality. This chrome is bubbling up and coming off in 5 minutes. Tamiya kits are like overnight. So it looks like probably about half an hour we'll get rid of, the bumper's a little better. These side things are chrome's coming off really fast. So maybe half an hour, all the chrome should be off of these, and then I'll dip that in it. But once the chrome's off, these can be sanded and cleaned. I'll wash them in just soap and water along with all the other plastic parts. Do a little sanding and cleanup, and then we'll start painting them. Okay, typical model building. I got about 10 things going on at once. I finished my little bracket for the servo, painted it. Want it to look nice. Servo's going to mount like this, and then the bracket's going to mount up underneath here. I took the tie rod and I cut it shorter because it's going to be at a different angle. Put some threads on it and re-put the joint on it. And I just want to show you what the de-chroming looks like on these pieces. The chrome, I let them sit overnight and the chrome all came off. So I'm getting these pieces ready to paint, and I will paint them all at the same time. Bumpers, all these pieces, interior, body. When I was playing with the steering, I found that my front tires were towed out. So I lengthened the rear tie rod and straightened those out. And then I changed the motor. I had a couple of 45 turn crawler motors laying around, so I put one of those in there. So and cleaned that up. So now we're going to mount the servo and put some primer on these parts. I bolted the servo in with some stainless steel hardware I had laying around, and it turned out just perfect. Looks good tucked up in there. Steering is excellent, and the best part is there's the slop. Literally none compared to what it was. Matter of fact, I've got a video of it with the slop, and I'll just play that right after this. So this is after. Here's our before steering slop. Again, there's that much slop and we're not even moving the servo. To loosen up the suspension, I'm going to actually take, I did one here, I'm going to take one leaf out of each spring. Fortunately, HG has bolted the springs together with a bolt and a nut, unlike Tamiya, which holds them together with a rivet. So it's pretty easy to take a leaf off. So I took one off here. I'll pull this one off in a second. And then on the shocks, I clipped just a little tiny bit off of each spring. Probably doesn't make a big difference, but I just wanted enough spring to get the shaft to come all the way back out. Then, while I'm in here, I never liked these plastic pieces that hold the shocks, so I got some aluminum ones to replace the plastic ones. I like these better. They're threaded inside, so they don't need a nut to hold everything on. And in the back, I'm going to probably replace these arms with something different, and this will give me a better mounting point. So while I'm in there, we'll do a little aluminum upgrade for these plastic parts. I'll get the leaf out and then put this back together. I've got my aluminum parts in there to replace the plastic ones. Removed a leaf from each spring. Feels a little better. It's still pretty stiff. I mean, it's just the way this truck's going to be. But one of the things I'm going to do is I'm going to move the shock mount from this position to this position so I can move the shock to the back end of the axle instead of the front end. And I'll show you why I'm doing that in a minute. So that's easy on this rig. They already have holes drilled in the frame. That one's even threaded. I think these are threaded too. Yep. The back one's just a hole, so I'll have to put a nut in behind it. So you can see that I'm going to move from there to there. Pretty simple. Maybe like that. It's important to note that screw has to go back into this one because it actually holds the cross member on. And then I can put this bolt in here. And that's not threaded, so I'll use a nut and a little bit of Loctite. And that'll get my shock to the rear position. Now, the reason I wanted to move the shock to the rear position I'll show you why. Okay, so the basic truck had these brackets. They were mounted up under here, and bolted down into the frame like that in order to keep the axle from torsioning this way. But I never like these. They're sloppy here. They don't really do anything. So what I'm going to do is I got a package of various links off of eBay. I'll put a link in the description. So the longer links look really good, and I'm going to mount them to the inside of this aluminum bracket here, and then I'm going to drill a new hole in the cross member up in here and mount them like this on either side. They're better looking, they're stronger, they're going to work better as far as torsioning this, and they were very inexpensive. I think the whole package was about 10 or 12 bucks. So I will go ahead and mount this and drill that and put those on. Mounted these two links back here to the aluminum bracket, and now I've just got to drill a hole. I was thinking about using the screw that's already here, but it's going into plastic. I thought about drilling all the way through and putting a nut on it, but in reality the best way to do it is just to drill a new hole. So I'll use the link for a marker like that. So I'm going to go ahead and drill that, and then I'll bolt those on. It's going to be a little bit tricky, so I'm not going to film it just because I got to work a nut up underneath there. We'll get that done and see how it turned out. The last thing I'm going to change is the tires. I just pulled the tire off. It had a little bit of glue on the back. It came off pretty easily. I'm going to use these Tamiya 51324 crawler vise tires. Right there. They are a lot softer and should give this a lot nicer ride. And they look good. They come with foam inserts. Oh boy, yeah, lot nicer, lot softer. So I'm going to throw these on, and then we'll see what my suspension does. Boy, those are really grippy. That should be a really good tire. Okay, well, I'm going to change all of them, and then we'll get them on the truck and see what we have. I like the looks of a driver in my vehicles. So this is Tamiya's 54416 driver figure. It fits perfectly in the HG truck. Even the mounting hole here is set up perfect for it. So I'm going to go ahead and glue this together and get it in there. Here's our completed driver figure. Really makes a nice touch for actually very inexpensive price. So we're going to go ahead and I'm going to paint the black first. So I'm going to paint all the black parts, and then we'll get some color on this thing. I've decided I'm going to use Tamiya's X18 semi-gloss black to do pretty much all the black parts in the truck. So I'm going to start by painting the black. I usually thin the Tamiya paint about 50-50 with Tamiya thinner. So we'll get these all painted up here. I've got quite a few parts to do, so I'm going to paint those all black, and I'll show you what they look like when they're done. Just an example of some of the painted pieces. These are the black pieces. This looks a lot better than the chrome. I painted the body with mica blue, Tamiya mica blue spray paint. I've got some body pieces here. I'm not going to show spray painting because it's spray painting, so I've got a couple 3 coats of blue and then 2 coats of clear. I've not polished this out yet. I'll do that later. Right now I'm going to mask the window frames, the bumper grill, and I'll mask over this black so I can paint the rest of the interior. So I'm going to do a little masking. Pretty much always use Tamiya masking tape for the edges because it works perfectly. And then I will, well, for example, I'm going to mask around here and then paint the bed with the same black as I used everywhere else on the truck. So we'll get that done, paint those, and do a little polishing. I masked off the body, painted the window frames. You know, it's the little details like these window frames, door handles that really make your truck stand out. There's the grill, 2 colors. And the bed I painted with the same Tamiya X18 semi-gloss black. I decided to paint the cap in a light gun metal, and so that's going to be my kind of color scheme there. So what I'm going to do now is take this paint and rub it all out. I'm going to use some Meguiar's Scratch X 2.0. I'll rub everything out, and then I will use some Meguiar's cleaner wax to wax it. So I'm gonna do those parts, and then I will start to reassemble the body. Also, I started working on the interior. I added some shadow coating here. I'll paint this seat with like a buff, so it'll give it a leather look and a kind of a worn look. And I also shadow coated my driver, and I'm going to probably paint him with blue jeans, maybe a red shirt. And so I will get those painted up as I go. So, on to rubbing it out. Moving right along with the painting, I've got the interior done. I painted the seat buff with a shadow coat just to kind of simulate the brown seat seats would have had. Painted the dash, did all that, painted my little driver figure. I still have to hit him with some clear flat. He's buff face. I used panel line marker for the hair, some red paint and blue paint for the shirt, black gloves. So we'll get him finished. But what I really need to do is a dashboard. And fortunately, I have a bruiser here. So I pulled out the bruiser and copied the decal sheet onto a piece of photo paper so I can cut out the instrument panels and the license plates, which will be nice. And then I'm going to cut out this Toyota and give that to my wife and have her cut me some Toyota lettering for the tailgate with her Cricut. So I will get these on the dash and get this thing ready to put back together in the body. So I've got this little dashboard cut out. My little radio panel. I'm going to use micro crystal clear to glue these on. I love this stuff. It's dries absolutely clear. And so if you get a little bit in the wrong spot, it's not a problem. We'll just put some on here and stick this little devil on. Just like that. Do the same thing with the dash. Should give me a nice looking instrument panel. And while I was at it, I cut out the Toyota four-wheel drive license plates. And that's exactly what I was looking for. Looks pretty nice. Glue these license plates on. Little details like this really make the model look better. I got a couple other tips for you later. And I'll glue that last one on, and we'll start working on putting this together. Final thing I'm going to do before putting the body back on and getting it all back together is add some lights. These are about $10 on eBay. They're cheap, but they work good. Basically gives me, turn it on, and these headlights stay lit. The blue lights, I have no idea. The turn signals, you can see when you turn the wheels, the turn signals turn. When you operate the throttle, the brake lights come on when you stop. And when you go fast, another set of white lights right here come on. So I'll use those for maybe fog lights, and the turn signals will work good. The only problem with the brake lights on this truck are they're the 5mm LEDs, and the bracket that holds them is a 3mm bracket. So I will just unsolder these and solder on some 3mm LEDs. So then I'll have a turn signal and a brake light in the back, turn signal in the front, headlights, fog lights. You know, it just gives me basic lighting for 10 bucks, and I was trying to do this truck on a budget, so I think that works out really well. So I'm going to go ahead and resolder those and kind of get these put in. My only other problem is, since the body comes on and off, where to mount this. It won't fit here because the body's too tight of a fit. So I think I'm going to probably cut a hole in this box and recess it down in here so I can still get the body on and still have access to plugs if I need to remove the body completely. I took the box here and cut the top of it off, and now this just fits in here. It actually fits quite well. I'm going to use a piece of double sticky tape to put it in, and then turn this on. So now I have my turn signals. These will go to the rear. So I can do a right turn, a left turn, the brakes. So that works good. These will go to the back here. The front lights, you can see the headlights are on. These blue lights I don't need. I'm just going to unplug those. These two plugs right here. And I'll get rid of those. So then I just have headlights, I have turn signals, and then this set here, when you accelerate, they come on. So I'll use those for fog lights. The headlights just drop right in the bucket and make a nice looking light. This little clip here holds them on. The turn signals will also drop right in, and basically everything drops in. I did have to change those brake lights to a smaller bulb. So I'm going to go ahead and get some of those put in and finish up putting everything together. One thing I might have to do is extend some of these wires, and to do that I'll just cut them and put a piece in, just so I can get them past the interior and all the way up to the front of the body without a lot of tension on the wire. So we'll see how that works. Alright, I'm going to put those together. Here's what the lights look like installed. Really pretty nice for $10. So there's right turn, left turn, and the brakes. When you turn the transmitter off, the lights all flash. So if it's on display, you can just turn the truck on and you'll have flashing lights. I would normally do a lot more than this, but I'm trying to keep the price down on this rig, so this was a real easy way to get lights for an inexpensive price. On the front bumper, the fog lights also have the small 3mm hole, and the LEDs were 5, so I'm going to change them. There's actually enough room to drill this out and put a 5mm in, but since I had to extend the wires, you can see where I extended them, figured why not change it. So I'm just going to show real quick how I do this. The LEDs have 2 different length leads. There's a longer lead and a shorter lead. The longer lead is the positive lead, so I'm just going to clip that off. Leave a little bit of the lead there. I'll take a piece of 1/8" shrink tube and drop it over my wire. I'm always forgetting that. And then I already tinned these, so basically I already ran the soldering iron along here and got some solder on the wire, and then I just touch it, and then I'll pull the shrink tubing up there, hit it with a heat gun real quick, and then I'll do the other side. So I'm going to go ahead and solder those in. I'll mount those LEDs in the bracket and get them put on the truck. These LEDs just mount to this bracket here, which mounts to the back of the bumper. But don't do like I did. They need to go through here first, because if you mount them in this bracket and mount them in the bumper, you can't get them through the faceplate. So you've got to do this, then mount them in the bracket, and then mount them in the bumper. So I'm going to go ahead and put that all together. Have the grill done. You see the light wiring on the back here. Turn it on, and so steering, right and left. Headlights obviously are on, and then as I speed up, the fog lights will come on. So we got everything hooked up the way we want. I'm going to go ahead and finish putting the body together. We'll be done. Here's my finished truck. Turned out pretty good. I'm going to go through each of the modifications I made and compare them to the original, and I will give you prices on each one and what I thought were the best ones. And then I'm going to do something I rarely do. I'm going to take it out and run it around a little bit and show you how it looks in operation. So we'll go through each step one by one, and we'll start with the body. Here's a before picture. We're going to notice the chrome cap, the chrome roll Nerf bars, the white bumpers. So there's our before. The orange interior, the hard tires. So that's our before appearance. And here's the finished product. I painted it with the Tamiya metallic blue, light gunmetal. My wife cut me the Toyota name on her Cricket. The license plate frames were a Xerox, or a color copy of the original Tamiya decals. Blacked out instead of chrome. Matter of fact, I took the chrome bumper, the chrome sides, the chrome cap, and de-chromed all of them and painted them. I personally like that blackout look. We obviously have lights on it now. See the headlights, our turn signals, lights in the back. They operate with the radio. You saw that during the construction. The vice crawler tires, which are softer and I think look a lot better. So the appearance turned out wonderful. The interior, kind of hard to see on the video, but we have a driver figure in there now. We have tan seats, gray dashboard, really nice looking instrument panel. The whole truck looks a lot better than the white plastic with the orange interior. Here's our before steering slop. Again, there's that much slop and we're not even moving the servo. The steering now, that's the amount of slop, virtually none. With the front mounted steering, that was a huge improvement. Now I figure the front mounted steering was about $2 or $3 for the bracket that I made, and I put a new servo in which was about $20. So under $25, and you could do it cheaper if you just reuse the servo. Best modification for the lowest amount of money. Really tighten up the steering, just works fantastic. Suspension, I just want to go through again what I did. I removed the center leaf from the springs. Of course, that's free to do that. I just took it out. I did remove the stock bars and replace them with these really nice machined aluminum bars, and that was about $10 to do that. These aluminum brackets that I replaced are about $20. The brackets and these torsion rods don't make any difference in the flexibility, but they sure look nice. And they're a lot stronger, and it made this axle stiffer. So I think that was a good improvement. Suspension travel, 1 3/4 is what I had in there before, and we can't get that underneath there at 1 3/4. So another quarter, still can't get it underneath there. Okay, that barely slides under. So we got another, let's see here, there's 1 inch, 2 1/4. So 2 1/4 to get the back tire off the ground, and it was 1 3/4 when we started. So a nice improvement. These are not the most flexible trucks in the world, but that is a good improvement. The final 2 mods I want to talk about are these Vice Crawler tires, which were just a terrific upgrade. I bought 2 pairs of those off eBay for $27.20 with shipping, and they were terrific. So, and the other thing is the 45 turn motor, which I paid $12 for. So my 3 best mods that are highly recommended are the front mounted steering, which you can do for about $5 if you don't change the servo, or about $25 if you do. The tires, which are $27, and the motor, which was $12. And that's $45 basically to turn that truck into something really special. The next mods that I did, obviously the driver figure was $15, and then finally the suspension parts. All up, everything I spent on this truck was $136.90 plus the cost of the truck, and I got I think a really beautiful crawler. Oh, the lights were $10. I'd highly recommend those too. Driver and lights would be the appearance things. Hard for me to put a value on the paint because I have the paint here. It took 1 full can of Tamiya spray paint to paint the body blue. You know, the black and the silver are just paints that I had laying around. So that is that's what it finally looks like. And what I'm going to do now is I am going to finish up my videos. I'm going to take this out and I'm going to do a video of it running. I won't be doing a lot of talking. So you can watch it run for the next couple of minutes. Other than that, I appreciate it if you subscribe to my channel. And I love all your feedback. So I've got a lot more projects coming up, both plastic models and radio controlled products. So there we go. Thanks for watching. So here's my truck. It's pretty good. Nice out here in the sunshine today. Let's see how I do on this rock. I locked the rear diff, the front diff is open. Oh yeah, that suspension mod worked pretty good. Looks good sitting up there.
Now that 45 turn motor gives me a nice slow speed. And this is low gear. That's full throttle in low gear. Okay, I call that a successful truck.